Listen, you're standing there, aren't you? Right on the brink. The wind's clawing at you, sharp and cold as a blade slicing through your skin, and below, nothing. A black, endless pit. No bottom to catch you. No light to guide you. Just the abyss. It's been there since the day you took your first breath, hasn't it? Looming. Watching. Every failure that's ever crushed your ribs. Every betrayal that's ever ripped your guts out. Every shard of loss that's lodged itself in your chest. It's all down there, swirling in the dark, calling your name with a voice like rust and broken glass. And what have you done? You've run. You've dodged. You've built fragile little walls out of forced grins and empty promises, chasing the sun like it's some holy cure. But let's rip that lie wide open. The sun doesn't give a damn. The world doesn't even glance your way. And the abyss? It's not going anywhere. It's patient. It's eternal. It's you. So stop running. Stop hiding. Turn around and face it. Stare into the jagged, gnashing jaws of that void and let it glare back at you with its hollow eyes. Because here's the truth they won't whisper in your ear. That darkness isn't here to break you. It's here to fuel you. It's the furnace where the weak get reduced to ash and the strong get hammered into steel. Life isn't some soft, glowing storybook where the good guys triumph and the choir sings. Life is a slaughterhouse, a cold, grinding machine that tears through your hopes, your trust, your illusions, and leaves nothing but bones and blood in its wake. And yet here you are, cut up, bruised, maybe half dead inside, but still on your feet. That's not luck. That's not fate playing nice. That's you, scraping through the carnage because something inside you, something primal, refuses to lie down and rot. Failure. You've tasted it, haven't you? That sour, choking filth, like ash mixed with bile, when everything you built collapsed. The job you lost when the axe fell without warning. The dream you nursed for years that crumbled into dust between your fingers. The risk you took that blew up in your face. The world snickered behind your back. Or worse, it didn't even notice you fall. And you sat there, alone in the dark, surrounded by the wreckage, asking yourself why you bothered. But open your eyes. That crash didn't bury you. It hurt like hell. It left scars you can still trace with your fingertips. But it didn't kill you. And every time you crawl out of that hole, you're different. You're harder. You're sharper. The abyss took its shot, smashed you down, and you spat in its face by getting back up. Betrayal. That's a deeper wound, isn't it? A slow seeping venom that twists in your veins. The knife driven into your back by someone you let close. Someone you handed your trust to like a fool. Someone who saw the real you and still chose to cut. They grinned while they did it, didn't they? And when they walked away, they left you bleeding out on the floor, gasping, wondering what you did to deserve it. Nothing. You did nothing to deserve it. That's the sick punchline. Life doesn't owe you fairness. People don't owe you their souls. But that pain, it's still there, isn't it? A dull throb, a red-hot ember. Don't smother it. Don't drown it in tears or cheap distractions. Let it burn. Let it wake you up. Because every betrayal carves a lesson into your marrow. Who's real? Who's a ghost? And how to stand alone when the crowd scatters. And loss. God, loss is the cruelest thief of all. The gaping, ragged hole where something irreplaceable used to live. A person you'd have died for, now just a memory fading at the edges. A future you could see so clearly, snatched away like smoke in the wind. A piece of yourself, innocence, faith, hope, stripped bare and tossed into the dirt. It's gone, and the silence it leaves behind is louder than any scream. The abyss feeds on that loss. It swells, deepens, grows hungrier with every sob you choke back. Every night you lie awake staring at the ceiling. But here's where the game changes. That pain doesn't have to be your chains. It can be your blade. It can carve away the soft, brittle parts and leave something cold and unbreakable behind. You've lost, yes. You've mourned until your throat was raw. But you're still here. And that's not surrender. That's defiance. They'll sell you fairy tales in those glossy books, those chirpy speeches with their upbeat drums, telling you the dark's just a phase, that you can think it away with gratitude journals and morning affirmations. They're lying through their teeth. The abyss isn't a detour. It's the road. It's the fire that tests you, the shadow that defines you. You don't rise above it. You rise because of it. The dread that keeps you up at night. The cold truth that nothing's promised. The weight of knowing it could all vanish in a heartbeat. That's your strength. That's what separates the ones who crack from the ones who conquer. So how do you live this? How do you take this raw, jagged truth and weld it into your life? Not just as a fleeting thought, but as a rhythm, a pulse, a way of being. You don't wait for the perfect moment. You don't wait for the clouds to part or the wounds to heal. You start now, right here, in the mud and the dark, with whatever scraps you've got left. Here's how you embrace the abyss and make it your own, step by step, day by day, until it's not just something you survive, but something you wield. Step 1. Face the wreckage. Every morning, when you drag yourself out of bed and feel that hollow ache clawing at your chest, don't turn away. Don't drown it in coffee or scroll it into oblivion. Sit with it. 5 minutes. Set a timer if you have to. Close your eyes and let the failures, the betrayals, the losses flood in. Picture them. The day your boss called you in and the floor dropped out. The night you found the texts and knew you'd been a fool. The moment you stood at the grave or watched the dream die. Name them out loud. Whisper them if you're scared someone might hear. Then grab a pen. Write them down. On a napkin, in a battered notebook, across your arm in ink if that's what it takes. Not to wallow, but to map it. To see the enemy clear. Because once you've got it on paper, it's not a phantom haunting you. It's a target you can hit. Step 2. Ritualize the ruin. Pick one thing the abyss handed you, let's say failure, and turn it into a daily fight. You screwed up that presentation and the room went silent? Fine. Tonight, set a timer for 30 minutes and tear it apart. Rewind the tape in your head. Where did you stumble? What could you have said? Be brutal. No sugarcoating. No excuses. Write down 3 things you'll do different next time. Then make it stick. Set your alarm an hour earlier, 5 a.m., when the world's still dead. And practice. Stand in front of the mirror and talk to your reflection until the words don't shake. Or hit the gym instead. Lift the barbell until your arms scream. Run the treadmill until your lungs burn. Because physical pain beats mental rot every time. Make it a habit. Every day. One small win against that failure. The abyss swings. You swing back. Step 3. Weaponize the betrayal. You've got names seared into your skull, don't you? Faces that flash behind your eyes when you least expect it. The friend who sold you out. The lover who played you. Don't waste your breath cursing them. Hate's a leash, and they don't deserve to hold it. Use it instead. Every time that wound stabs, let it be your trigger. Feel it? Good. Get up. Move. Do something they'd never see coming. Start with 10 push-ups when their voice echoes in your head. Grit your teeth and count them out. Next time, 20, then 50. Or pick up that guitar you dropped when they laughed at you. Play until your fingers bleed. Sign up for that class they said you'd never finish. Coding, boxing, whatever, and show up every damn day. Build something so fierce, so untouchable, that their shadow can't even reach it. Let the sting be your alarm clock. To every GrimFace Warrior out there who's been riding with us, returning to this dark corner of the fight, respect. You've stared down the abyss with us before, felt its teeth, and still came back. You're not here for soft words or cheap hope. You're here because you've got scars, you've got fire, and you know this grind doesn't quit. You're the blood in these veins, the steel in this spine. This is your ground. You've earned it. And to the new eyes watching, the ones just stepping into the storm, welcome to the GrimFace movement. This ain't a feel-good club. This is a war cry for the ones who thrive when the world breaks. You've tasted the dark, haven't you? Felt the weight? Good. That's where we live. Hit that subscribe button and join the ranks. Become a GrimFace Warrior. We don't promise easy. We promise real. Step up, take your place, and let's carve something unbreakable together. Keep fighting. Stay grim. The abyss is ours.